Hello, everyone, and good morning. Back for some regularly scheduled programming. It felt weird yesterday to not do a live video for the first time in 33 days. So, I wanted to talk today about the different types of walks because the first time I ever mentioned this, people were surprised that there was more than one type. But it totally depends on the type of dog that you have. And I believe you can do this with horses too. Although horses tend to be more one type than the other type, but we'll get to that. So the straightforward type that most people think of is just basic an exercise walk, where you're walking with the purpose of tiring out your dog, and sometimes you go at a faster pace. You're not supposed to let them stop to smell, but most people do just because they kind of combine all the different types of walks. But this is the one that's absolutely necessary to meet their aerobic and cardiovascular needs. So it's really important that they get enough exercise. Most people walk their pets more in certain seasons. So when the weather's nicer, especially with the quarantine now, I've seen more people walking their dogs, I think, in the last 2 months than I've seen in Kai's entire life. So most people without a dog are now also going for a walk, which is really great to see. The second and simpler type is a scent-based stimulation. So if your pet is really bored or is one of the breeds that's more energetically busy, giving them something to smell, so maybe walking a new route so they have lots of things to smell. Honestly, I can walk the same route the day after rain, and Kai will take 1.5 times as long as she normally takes because she likes to smell everything on the route. But I know that that's really good for her because it keeps her brain occupied. Under normal circumstances, socializing when they're walking is also really important. So when they meet a new person or a new dog, making sure that that's a positive experience for them. So making sure the other dog or your dog is not lunging at the end of their leash, walking nice and calmly. If your dog wants to be petted and the other owner wants to pet your dog, that your dog kind of sits quietly or stands quietly and gets petted and everybody has a good time. Working on that is really hard for a lot of people because the only thing you can control is how you respond to it. You can't always control how your dog will respond to other people or other dogs. So as long as you practice having positive experiences with your dog, most of you know that Kai has been attacked 3 times, never a puncture bite, but skin contact. And we've got her to the point where she can walk by other dogs if the dog is calm and look at it, kind of shrug and just keep going. But if that dog is lunging or barking, Kaya's hackles will go up. And I did a video on hackles if you don't know what they are. But her hackles go up and then she either barks or kind of gets all pacey in return. So she's just responding to the other dog. Usually she's a very mellow dog. She greets a lot of people with excitement because that's just in her nature. We're working on it, but again, if the person's using a high-pitched voice and getting all squealy and petting her, then she's obviously going to respond with jumping around. The third type, and it kind of went into the last one a little bit, is a training walk. So especially if your dog does not have leash manners, teaching them how to walk on a leash, how to, interact with their surroundings is really, really important. So for example, if your dog, like Kaya, when she was younger, I had a regular leash for her and it was attached to her collar. And whenever we went out, she just wanted to sprint down the street all the time. And my shoulder started to really hurt. So I went into the store and I talked to the people and they said, get her a harness that fastens on the front. Because the one that fastens on the back is designed to make the dog pull you and go faster. The one that hooks in on the front means that you can redirect your dog's body. So I got her one of those, and I also got a bungee leash, which is on Kaya's favorites page on my website if you haven't seen it. But basically, it's a regular leash, and then the very end of it is like a bungee cord. So if she ever makes a sudden dart towards something, it doesn't pull my arm. That part just stretches and then goes back to normal. So we worked on heel a lot when she was smaller. And now she'll kind of look at me, and if I ask her to heel, she'll kind of trot and sit near me, not necessarily facing the right direction, but she's got the whole, I'm going to sit really close to you and make eye contact, which is really important. But making sure she's not walking really far in front of me. So if she ever gets too excited about something, I can just reel in the leash a little bit, because it isn't a retractable leash, it's a regular leash. So I just kind of loop it and hold on to it. And then she's walking closer to me, and then I'm praising her when she's walking like that, so that she knows that if everything is overstimulating for her, she can just come back to me, and that will comfort her in that way. Practicing sitting before crossing the street is a fun one, because when she does it around other people are always shocked. For some reason, like they've never considered that a dog would stop walking before they cross the street. But we've had Kaya, when she was really little, dart across the road twice. And this used to be a really quiet street, but it's not so much anymore. And she just wanted to see our neighbor, who was in her front yard, and she darted across the road, and I was absolutely terrified. But because I'm starting to teach her, and we're still working on it, obviously we're not perfect, but when we get to a major intersection, I always get her to sit and wait, and I kind of exaggerate looking both ways and tell her we have to wait. And then when the cross light signal comes on, we walk across the road, and if she's nice and calm, I'll reward her on the other side. She used to, when we were crossing really big roads, kind of get all excited and jump and try and eat her leash and think it was a game, because oftentimes we have had to run across the road because there's not crosswalks everywhere that there needs to be crosswalks. But teaching her to sit before crossing the road could potentially save her life someday. So I'm going to continue working on that. But even something like walking with your dog, and every time you see a stop sign, or every time you see, I don't know, a fire hydrant, you ask your dog to sit. You know, just something to kind of keep their brain stimulated. You can also combine any of these types of walks. So for example, if you wanted physical exercise and mental exercise, you could combine all three. Let them sniff things, go for bits of faster pace, bits of slower pace, and also work on some obedience commands while you're walking. So you could jog one block and then do a puppy push-ups. So like sit, lay down, sit, lay down, sit, lay down, to work on their upper body. And then you could let them smell a bunch of stuff, and then you could jog another block, and then you could ask them to sit before you cross the road, and just kind of keep working on it. But it's kind of an experience. I don't really know how else to explain it, because having a dog is a joy, and I've talked about this many times. Hi, Marvin. But it's really up to you how you want your walks to be. And I know that the neighborhoods are a lot busier right now with all of the people out. But I know that Kaya has a lot of fun. And on the weekend, I went for a hike for my birthday, and Kaya rolled in some poop. And I had to kind of laugh it off, because otherwise I would have been really annoyed. But we got home and we gave her a bath and everything was fine. But her harness and her collar still smell really bad. So I've been soaking them, but I can't take her for a walk until they're dry. So I have to go and scrub them after this video. But if you want more ideas, I can always, when the quarantine is over, get one of my friends who's proficient with video to follow me while we're walking, just so you can kind of see the different ways that you can occupy your dog's brain during a walk, because they're getting more stimulation right now because everybody's home, but that means that they also need more exercise as well, because if they're stuck inside all day because you're stuck inside all day, then they're not going to be very happy, and that can result in a lot of destructive behaviors. So something to keep in mind. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your week, and I will see you later this week on Instagram for another video.